Good morning. My name is Linda Nelson. I'm with the Cherokee community of North Texas. We are so pleased to host another session in our series on financial education for Native Americans. Today's session will focus on cybersecurity protections, things to help you at family, at home, and even in your workplace. We hope this is helpful and meaningful to you. I've been with the Cherokee community for a number of years. I recently retired out of the information security world with a large multinational financial services firm. Terry Hall comes to us and will be introducing herself in the next few minutes and giving her background. We think this topic will be of interest to everyone on the phone and all of your friends and family. So again, we'll make the links available and the other resources so that you can share that information. Turning it over to Terry Hall now.
All right, well, good morning and welcome. Just a little bit about myself. I've got about 26 years of experience in a variety of technical kind of focused industries, 20 years in engineering and about 6 years in program management. I will say I do tend to be the most technical person in my household, but I'm starting to see that role be taken over by my kids who are surpassing me. I'm learning in this topic. I'm learning right along with all of you and trying to keep up in a world that really is increasingly becoming more technical, where change is a constant and happening faster than sometimes even imaginable. So I just wanted to we just wanted to take this opportunity to share some basic information on cybersecurity and what you can do to protect your family and friends and yourself. So why does this matter? So as we are in this digital age, and we have certainly experienced more and more every aspect of our lives having some connection to something digital. I even think back to even 2 years ago when, because of COVID, we all, many of us went home and worked from home. And this is all kind of enabled because of this digital age that we're in. But because of this digital age, we are exposed to threats. We're exposed to people who want to steal our data. And because we live in a technology-centric world where our personal data can be obtained and used for both criminal and non-criminal activity, we do have to take steps to protect ourselves. And then, so here's an interesting statistic. In 2001, the FBI reported a 7% annual increase in malicious cyber activity, amounting to an unprecedented 6.9 billion in victim losses. And I suspect that most of us do know of some situation, whether it's ourselves or family or friends that have been impacted by this or potentially impacted by this. I know I have an example that I'm going to share in a couple of charts where a family member was impacted by this, and it happened to be checking their savings account and noticed a significant decrease. And I mean, luckily they took steps immediately to put a stop to it, but it's very real, and we definitely have to stay try to stay in front of what the threat is so that we can protect ourselves. So what is CC&T doing? Well, we're going to bring you these tips and techniques to kind of help you learn how to protect yourself and your family. So please share this information with your friends, with your family, with elders, with everyone in our community, so that we can help protect each other within this 45 or so minute time frame. However, we can really only touch the surface of what some of these tips are, and we're going to start simple, but even simple tips can be powerful. Even myself, I have learned information through going through this information. So So I think I'm hoping that everyone can walk away from this session with at least one or more tips and techniques to protect yourself. But just also want to encourage everyone, continue reading, continue educating yourself, and continue to be active in protecting yourself and your assets. So really want to just go ahead and jump right in with this. We want to talk about internet connected devices. And I think one of the couple of things that people think of, okay, well, what do you have that connects to the internet? Well, we certainly have this laptop that I'm using. We have our mobile phones that we connect to Wi-Fi and through data. But there are other devices that connect to the internet. My Fitbit connects to the internet. Amazon Alexa. Actually, Alexa, go on mute. Some of us have Ring cameras. Some of us have, if you're in an urban environment, you might utilize an e-scooter. And so all these devices can store significant amount of personal data on the internet. And even maybe as an example, these devices can store location data. And so we do want to take steps to protect ourselves from a significant amount of personal data being stored on the internet. So a couple of tips here we want to implement. When possible, you do want to utilize antivirus software, and most of those can be purchased online. When you do want to change the default password, and we are going to talk about passwords. We're actually going to talk about passphrases in a couple of charts. But you do always want to change a default password. Now, luckily, many of these devices do require an account, and it requires you to set up a password. But just as a reminder, though, never stay with a default password. You can also take the step to turn off location data in your apps, and you can do that through your mobile phone. We're going to talk about passphrases, and then just a reminder, we're going to talk a little bit more about this too. Make sure you keep an eye on your children's apps as well. And I think for the main point in this chart really is pause and think about where is your data going and who has your data. And so before you take action, pause and just think about those things and how you can protect yourself. Linda, did you have anything else to add to this?
I did, if I get myself off of mute. Thank you. You will see in the news from time to time, and Terry touched on it, and we'll talk about default passwords or passphrases. That's a significant call out. And so therefore, we're probably going to talk about it several times. You will hear all the time about people who got hacked, smart people who got hacked. And what was their password? Password 123, because they never changed it from the default. So that's an extremely important call out from here. That's a big takeaway from this, and also about children's use of applications. And you don't necessarily think about it, but once you put, everybody will debate this, once you put that smartphone in the hands of a child, you've now connected that child to everywhere on the internet, good people, and what we're going to call bad actors, threat actors, people who can do damage to you or to your family. So while we don't want you running from your house with your hair on fire today, what we do want you to do is kind of sit up and take notice, because we suspect there's a few things that are here that you go, oh, wow. Even as an information security professional, there were lots of things that I learned personally new as I thought about it, going through with Terry as well. So this is really powerful information for you. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Now we just want to take a moment and talk about USBs. And this is something that I learned, or that I just hadn't really been thinking about. Whenever you're, say, for instance, you're traveling and you're at an airport, and your phone is about to die, but you do have a USB cord. And so, okay, well, there's a variety of USB places that you can plug in, even at the airport. And so what happens is you plug in, and then, but this USB not only provides power to your phone, but as you know, it's also a data exchange. And so anytime you plug your USB directly into a public USB connection, the truth is you really don't know what's on the other side of that USB connection, because it can pass both data and power through that connection. And so if you're in a traveling situation, you're at the airport, you're in a hotel, you're in a taxi, just consider a USB connection. You really don't know what's on the other side of that little connection. There could be a malicious software on the other side of that, collecting your data off of your phone, off of your computer. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do. You can use a power brick. And so everyone, this is just an example, but just an Apple power brick. Whenever you plug into that power brick and you plug it into that wall, there's no data, it's only power. And you can know that, you can know that for sure. Another thing that you can do is you can buy a data blocker. I'm just about to do this. I haven't yet purchased one of these, but they are now available that it would just be another little device that you plug your USB into, and then you could plug it into one of those USB connectors, public USB connectors, because it would be blocking your data. And then another tip that you could utilize for keeping your devices charged would be carry a power bank. Many of these they're small, they're pretty inexpensive these days, and you can utilize a power bank in the event that you need to power your devices. So just a couple of things. This was a little eye-awakening to myself as well. Never plug a USB connector into a public USB connector, just for a purpose of powering your device. It's just becoming too dangerous. Next, we want to move on to also a very important topic: phishing, smishing, and vishing, and more. And say that 5 times fast. And this is an area that I was maybe aware of the term phishing, but I wasn't aware of the term smishing, vishing. And so I'm learning along with all of you on this one. But we do want to talk about these. So a scam is labeled depending on how the scammers gather their information. So I think maybe some of us have heard about phishing before. So phishing, if you get a suspectful email, some kind of social media or other social or online channels, and for instance, and we have an example of this later, a phishing email, you get an email and it says, your account is blocked. You need to, click on this link to go to your account and get it unblocked, or, and so that's called a phishing email. Now, vishing on the other hand, uses a phone conversation to gather sensitive information from victims. And I also have an example of this as well. And then for texting, texting also has its own definition, smishing. So when a hacker uses text messages instead of a voice or online means to try and obtain sensitive information. So just a couple of terms that we want to note at this point. But essentially, be skeptical of anyone and everyone trying to get your personal information. All right, let's take a look at some phishing emails. I've got an example here. So, dear customer, it looks like it's from Apple. And dear customer, your Apple ID was used to sign in to iCloud via a web browser. If you have not signed into iCloud recently and believe someone may have accessed your account, go to Apple ID, log in, and change your password as soon as possible. Apple support. And as you can kind of see, there's the login has it's a link. So So you can, you know, they make it real convenient. They're trying to give you some information, make it real convenient. Go click on that link and you can take care of your account. Well, this looks legitimate to anyone. This looks legitimate until you look a little closer. One thing you want to do is look at the email. Who's the email from? And sometimes you actually have to go and maybe even click on that email or that from email. And so, I mean, that's one of the ways that that's one of the first places I go is I look at, does it really look like a bogus email? You know, maybe it's, some name 123@gmail.com. Well, Gmail's not going to send an Apple ID message for one. But I really have seen it like that. Now also look for, I mean, if you see misspellings, if you see the use of urgent language, you definitely want to be suspicious, and absolutely don't click on links inside of emails unless you're absolutely sure that you know it's legitimate. And I think many of us have probably seen something very similar to this. Linda, I think maybe you have too.
Yes, a comment that I would make is if you ever get an email where it says that your account has been compromised, then here's what I do, regardless of whether I think it's from a legitimate source or not. I go directly to my login for my account and I immediately change my password. I do not click on links that are in my emails. And that even goes to the extent that my credit card says my statement is ready. Okay, that's great. I don't need to click on a link in the email. I go directly to my credit card link that I've saved in my browser that I've validated previously, and then I go to the statement feature itself. There's really no good reason, and 8 times out of 10, these are going to be bogus emails that you're going to get. They're going to be bogus emails, whether they're emails or they're text messages. So again, you can spend a lot of time eyeballing this, but when you get an email like this, change your password right away. Don't click on any links.
Yep, thank you, Linda. All right, next we're going to talk about smishing and vishing. And okay, so for the vishing, and honestly, I'm still trying to get these terms right. For the vishing, this is the phone call. This is a data hacker is using the telephone to try and get your information. And this is my example that I want to share. This email from Norton. I think maybe even. Well, I've had a couple of these different examples from people, but basically this is saying, Norton, dear customer, thank you for the renewal service. Here's your invoice date. Here's your invoice number. Here's the amount we're invoicing, and basically call us on toll free and speak to an agent for the refund. Well, one, it's kind of unusual that they would suggest you call an agent for a refund, and then you call that number. Well, my family member had just bought a computer and they had received an email like this. And, I don't blame them. They called the number and they were on the phone with them for, I don't know, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. And they really thought they were trying to resolve an issue with Norton. And that the spouse just happened to check the banking accounts and noticed a significant amount of money that was decreased in the savings account. And as you can imagine, they reacted very fast and rushed to the bank, told the bank what was going on, and the bank was able to put a hold on all the financial transactions. I don't quite know everything about what happened in the background, but I think somehow through this phone call, they were able to remote into my parents' computer and start obtaining account numbers. So just be super careful with anything like this. And just like Linda said, You know, if you get an email and it's like urgent, oh, you know, call now. Well, that's all the more reason to really to get you to panic and to get you to call the number.
So
Uh, yeah, once again, you don't know who you're really talking to.
yeah, Terry, let me echo that on a couple of levels. Um, so sometimes you'll get an email or a text that says call us, and sometimes you'll get a phone call direct. So let me give you a couple of examples of that. And we get these at our household a lot. Hello, I'm Social Security, blah, 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 you know, whatever. Hello, I'm Amazon. Hello, I'm Medicare. Hello, I'm Microsoft, right? And so these people will call you. Now, the usual best practice, I will say, is thank you very much and hang up. My husband is not quite as nice when he hangs up on the individual, but that is the best approach. But let me tell you how this connects for you. So, and Terry will talk about it a little bit more. People will call you, they will record your voice, and they will catch you saying different words that they can string together for later on. They will get information from you. It's amazing how much information each of us will disclose. So you've put your birth date out on your Facebook account. You've given not only your birth date, but what year. So people can, through a combination of information that you've put on social media, information that you just willingly give up on the phone, and information that people have acquired from the dark web, and again, we'll talk about this a little bit in a minute, they can construct an electronic digital profile of you and mimic you, mirror you, and steal your identity. So the whole goal here of what we're trying to share with you is to put blockers in place to protect you and your family from people acquiring data about you that they can use that will injure you or your family's reputation, or steal your private data, or steal your money. Okay. And sometimes you can get it back and sometimes you can't. So that's how all these different pieces come together. This is a multi-front war against you and your family's resources.
Thank you, Linda. Very important. And then also just wanted to mention a smishing, show an example. Once again, this is Wells Fargo, unusual activity detected on your debit ATM card. So once again, they're providing a link. It's bogus. It's not real, and they're just trying to get you to click on a link there. So absolutely don't click on the links, attachments, or call phone numbers unless you're absolutely it's legitimate, and then even then beware. Okay, wanted to talk a little bit about managing passwords and talk about passphrases. So like we mentioned before, immediately change default passwords to a strong, unique, complex passphrase and change them across all your devices. So strong, you're going to want to utilize an uppercase, both uppercase and lowercase words. You're going to want to utilize numbers, characters. I gave kind of a silly example, but this "I love my dog forever" $. But and essentially though, you've got to come up still with a passphrase that yes, you can remember, but you do need to utilize all these different variety of characters. Don't use personal identifiers in the passwords, so stay away from name, age, birth year, address, or any other easily identifiable information. Just kind of like Linda just mentioned, keep your passwords secure, possibly lock and key, or use a password management software, and leverage multi-factor authentication, which requires something like a special code, facial recognition, answers to security questions. I think most of us are familiar with these multi-factor authentication systems.
Yeah, Terry, let me just jump in here. This is the one that protects you the most. So having a strong password is great. MFA, multi-factor authentication, is the best thing that you can do. And it's the thing that irritates people the most, and they bypass it and they hate it. this helps you. So what this is an example of is you go to your bank account and you log in and it says, hey, wait just a moment. Before I let you into the bank account, I'm going to send a code to your phone so that you can enter it. I'm going to send it to a device that you told me, either your email or your phone, so you can give me that code back. And what it does is it gives you your passphrase, password, plus another indicator, a code. And those two are extremely strong protections, because what would have happened is someone would not only have had to steal your password, they would have had to have stolen your phone or access to your email account. This is a significant protection. I just, if you have the ability to sign up for this on your account, sign up for it and use it.
Mhm. Yes, agree. So thank you, Linda. And I know that keeping your passwords organized and secure is very difficult. We struggle with that in our household, and we may not even be using the best password management system, but it's working for us right now. But I do see in the future us needing to go to something that is more organized, like a password management software. I think some of our mobile phones utilize some password management software or an app for some of that, at least for the systems that you log in through your phone. But I see us in the future going to something that's more secure, like this password management software. But I will admit it's even a struggle for us as well in our household. Okay. A little bit more about keeping your financials secure. So just recently, and after my family members went through this situation of this hacking situation, they had received the recommendation to have a unique email and password for your financial accounts. So I have also done that for our household. And it was super easy to create a unique email and then make, once again, a strong passphrase for financial accounts. And what I think that does, it just helps isolate your financial transactions from all your other, all the school, the emails that come in through, whether it's, school or whether it's shopping or so I mean, we've had an email, the same email for many years now. And so we do get a large amounts of junk that comes in on that email. And so I don't know why I hadn't done this sooner, but I think it's just made a huge difference to have a unique email and password for financial transactions. Also just want to give everyone a reminder on, in keeping in a secure location, a paper record of your financial accounts. We don't really know what's going to happen in the future, what kind of cyber attacks the US may encounter. And so it's just a really good idea to make sure that you do have somewhere a record on paper of your financial accounts, whether that's account numbers, values, and so just wanted to provide that tip as well. You also want to know, what is the process for updating your personal information in your financial accounts online, or can you do it by placing a phone call? I know I've heard some family members struggle with trying to understand how they update their information. For instance, when they do get a new checking account, how do they update that information in some of these other financial accounts? And so just kind of investigate now before there's a problem, before maybe you are hacked. Know now how to access these accounts and how to change your information. You also would want to encourage you to limit the personal devices that you utilize to access your financial accounts. I think we try to utilize a single computer in our household in accessing those accounts, just to try and limit the different devices that are accessing those important accounts. Set up paperless statements, confirmation and tax form. I mean, certainly most everything we can get online nowadays. And so just limiting the monthly statements that come in every month. I will say that we're in this household, my husband has always been very consistent about whenever we do get paper statements, actually anything with our address, we shred our address. Anything that's going to go into the trash, we actually take pains never to put something in the trash with our address on it unless we shred it up. And then just, banking online, it's here to stay. And in many ways, it can be safer than using checks or cash. A couple of items there, Linda. I think maybe you had some inputs on this as well.
I would echo shred, shred, and shred. Again, your checks, your bills, your charity statements, people will connect. Oh, gee whiz, you give to SPCA, you must like dogs. I'm going to call you on the phone and I'm going to appeal to you because I'm going to say I'm from SPCA of Texas or something else like that. Limiting the personal devices. So, and many of the locations that you will log in, it will say, wait a minute, I don't recognize the device that you're logging in from. Are you sure? And it may ask you for an additional authentication, or it may send you an email. We just received a login from another device. Are you sure it's you? Are you sure you ordered this? Now, again, don't click on the link. Go directly there and look at those transactions. If you're only reconciling your account once a month, that's probably not a good thing these days. Even if you're using paper checks, go look at your balances. It takes you 30 seconds a day or every other day to make sure that your account is solid. But I echo Terry. My mother is the shredder in our household, and she just shreds everything. And that's really a good thing. Because you want to not have, because again, people are going to piece this stuff together. Your child's name is, their birth date is. I bet you, because a number of people will make passwords a combination of their child and their birthday, so it's easy to remember. Well, it's easy to hack.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess one other tip is watch your credit card statements, and if you look out for those credit card statements that come in and you see like a little $1 transaction here or $1 transaction there. And so that is also another hacking tip where someone will get your credit card and they'll just start putting some little light charges on there to see, and maybe it's to see if you even notice before they hit it bigger. So I think we've seen that before too, and have had to call the bank and have had to get a different credit card number. So you have to watch your accounts very closely. Okay, I wanted to talk about be careful what you post online. So as we've mentioned, bad actors can track you by what you post. So be careful about sharing location info, like when you're going on vacation. Also, from a gaming standpoint, wanted to mention this: teach your kids not to use their name, age, location data in their profiles, including a photo. And just wanted to make a comment on gaming. So very popular, these multiplayer online gaming platforms. Some of them you might recognize: Minecraft, Roblox, Steam, and really many other gaming platforms. The person that you are playing with may not be who you think they are. So definitely recommend parents stay connected with who your kids are playing with, and particularly on these multiplayer online gaming platforms. And I think this could be a whole hour seminar just by itself.
Yes, and we may schedule that. This is when we've talked about protecting you and your family, talking about protecting your children. So bad actors, and reading to that what you will, uh, get in touch with your kids, bypass your kids, send them links that your child click, you gave them a phone, they're going to click on a link that a bad actor sent them. They're going to get access to an app that you don't even know is on their phone. So I'm not saying what age you need to start this at or stop this at, but you should be looking at your children's phones or members of your household phones and look at the apps that have been installed periodically. Gee, there's an app there. I didn't know how it got there. And look at the contact data for your children or for your household and scan that. We just can't say enough that there are real bad actors out there that lead to real bad things.
And just talking about kids for a second, teach your kids these principles as well. Kids are probably also increasingly having more and more sensitive data on their phones. Maybe your child, if they're maybe an older child, has a bank account. Well, as soon as they have a bank account, they are starting to get some of these phishing, vishing, and smishing types of communications as well. So definitely not only yourself, but teach your kids these principles as well. Okay, just a couple more tips wanted to cover. We already talked about shredding mail and paperwork. Another one would be, so if you work from home or you have a home business, you want to consider keeping your work PC and your personal PC separated. You do want to consider backing up your data on the cloud or an external hard drive. Because once again, a cyber attack could potentially render your PC unusable. I mean, that is certainly a possibility. So it is good to back up your data on a regular basis. You do want to mute, unplug, or disable smart devices when not in use, as they may be listening, responding, or capturing information. So the one that I think of is Alexa, but there are other internet connected devices that could be listening, responding, or capturing information. For instance, the possibility of televisions, especially these increasingly smart TVs and other devices. And so particularly when you're having a sensitive conversation, you're going to want to mute or unplug some of these smart devices.
And to make the point, so when you have these smart devices listening, they're listening and they're capturing. Don't ever think they're not. So when you're reading out your credit card number and your expiration date and your CVV date in front of one of these smart devices, don't think that they're not capturing that data. They are. If you have TV sets in your bedroom that have a camera, Bill Gates puts tape over the camera on his PC. So you need to be aware that now that you've plugged your house into the internet's on all the time unless you disable it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And once again, we just wanted to encourage everyone, pause and just think about what the possibilities are when it comes to these smart devices, because some of these smart devices are becoming more smart. So yeah, I think that's the message that we just want to send is just, stop and assess where the threats may be in your household, and just make sure you're updating your smart devices and apps to the latest software versions. And then another step would be learn how to log into your router and your internet switch, and make sure you are able to reset that default password. And then also you can take steps to increase your home network protections. And so that's not necessarily a super easy thing for many people, is to log into their router and do a reset of the default password. But it is important because I know often that default password it is posted often on your router, but I do think that hackers can get access to that So it is important to reset that default password even on that home network router. And maybe we could do a future training if there's interest on that. Okay, and tips for video conferencing. Linda, I think I was going to pass this one to you.
Yes, so with the pandemic, a lot of us we're doing more and more video conferencing from home. We're doing work, we're doing personal, we're meeting friends over the phone, so we're using that a lot. Again, real key here, couple things to think about. And as Terry always says, stop, think, evaluate. What are people going to see in your background? What are they going to, you had your birthday cards, you have pictures of your family up. What are you saying on those phones? Do you have smart devices in the same room? Many of the conferencing devices will allow you to put a stock picture of yourself there or give a background so you can shield your house. Maybe you're calling from Hawaii and you're on the beach. Wouldn't that be nice? And you're calling from the beach, but again, you don't want to give away the fact that you're away from your house. So again, you want to think about that background that's in the background for that. Again, you have at the bottom of this, you have the ability to mute the screen. You have the ability to mute the video. Those are options you should think about all the time as you're using conferencing. And again, this information, again, that gets captured, gets stored in clouds, gets stored, is all hackable. So again, what are you presenting? And this would be true whether you're using a Zoom call, FaceTime, Duo, Facebook Live. Again, we're so connected to the internet, we're just unconsciously sharing perhaps a lot more information than you're aware that you're doing. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Also, just a couple of tips in public places. Once again, just restate that don't use the public USBs for charging, or if you do, use a data blocker. Look out for shoulder surfing. If say you're in a coffee bar and you're typing in or logging in with your password into a website or into your PC, just always be conscious of who might be around you. Take a look around, see who might be there, who might be looking over your shoulder to see you type your password. And then also utilize hotspots or VPNs. That's another option. Another option to a public Wi-Fi would be a personal hotspot, or if you're using a public Wi-Fi, you may want to use a VPN.
There also are blocker screens that you can put on your laptop screen, whether it's a desktop or tablet, because other people with a camera can buzz in, zoom in, and see what's on your screen. And so if you have one of those special screens, it will block anybody from seeing anything from any angle other than the person sitting right in front of the screen. And that's a common technique. The shoulder surfing is not just limited to your tablet. It's the same thing of shoulder surfing on an ATM. So remember, people don't have to remember your ATM code. They just have to remember top right, bottom middle, lower left. They just have to remember the position. So you don't want people seeing your hands or your fingers when you key your passwords or your account numbers. Thank you, Terry.
Yes, thank you. All right, prevent identity theft. And Linda, I think you were going to take this.
Yeah, yes. Identity theft is somebody stealing your identity as a financial entity, as a digital persona. So there's a couple things. Number one, people can go in and they'll try and open an account in your name. What will they use? They'll use your address. They'll use identifiers that they have stolen from you. Your phone number, your birth date, your social security. They'll open accounts in your name. Now, if they've stolen this data, a way to mitigate that is put your accounts on lock through the credit sites where you can say, hey, no, nobody can open an account. You're going to have to call me. So think multi-factor authentication. someone's going to have to call me on this number and get it approved that that is really me. You can do that. You can do that yourself. We use LifeLock, but there are many other entities that do the same service of LifeLock, of doing credit monitoring for you, scouring the dark web. Looking at your credit reports, what I would say is you shouldn't be just waiting on your credit card statements to come to you or your bank account statement to come to you, because once a month is too late. You should be scouring your accounts on a periodic basis, maybe once a week on a Saturday morning with a cup of coffee. Also look at your credit reports if you don't have a credit monitoring service. But again, a credit monitoring service does a number of things for you. They look at your credit history, they look at account openings. If they're sophisticated, they'll look at the dark web. So, you know, like 95% of the internet isn't searchable via a browser. Hackers, scammers, pornographers, pedophiles live out in the dark web and they sell your data. And having somebody monitor that data for you as a protection. But again, the last thing is just stop, think, evaluate. If you learn nothing else from this, what did I give out? What am I using? How am I using that? Can I make that safer? How can I protect us from that? I'm not suggesting closing down your accounts at all, but how do you put a wall, barrier around each and everything that you're doing? Thanks, Terry.
And I think, I mean, we hear it in the news all the time where, you know, different institutions, different companies, you know, have had their systems hacked, and social security numbers may have been shared, or, you know, passwords, or, and so we do see those alerts. I know a lot of times those companies will offer like a year of something like LifeLock or something like that. So I'd say if it's offered to you, take advantage of it for that time frame.
The worst hacks that have occurred are things that you don't think about. And so let me give you an example. And you can Google these, you can search these yourselves. But a business who has, and we're not going to talk about elections, but a business who has multiple systems and they have a HVAC system, heating, air conditioning. Hacker, bad actor comes into the company through the air conditioning system. So it's just like crawling into your house. Somebody's going to steal something by crawling through an entry point in your house. So they get into these companies and then one system talks to another system. And as soon as they're in, then they rush over to the HR department or the credit billing department and they steal that credit data because there was a weakness in the perimeter that protected that business. So businesses are learning a lot about this, about how to erect those fortified perimeters around their digital systems. Same thing that you guys are doing, but that's why you'll read about thousands or millions, and they've hacked into everywhere. They've hacked into Target, they've hacked into the DoD, they've hacked into a lot of companies and that's why most companies have cybersecurity professionals on their staffs that do nothing else but figure out what weaknesses do we have in our computer systems and what weaknesses are out there that are trending. So something happens in Yugoslavia, gee, we're probably going to see it next, and the government will issue guidelines that will tell people, get ready to fix this, that, or the other. And they'll tell people. So when you see cyber hacks in the news, you go, oh, gee, what a shame. Read that article thoroughly and figure out what happened and what are they doing about it and how might that impact you. And when you get notified by companies that your data was retrieved or stolen, good time to change those passwords.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Linda. Okay, final point. The threat is real. Be diligent, take action to protect your personal data and your personal assets from criminals, and then also share and teach this information to everyone around you as well. Okay, and on a serious note, we're going to enter the Dilbert world of Elbonia, and yay, you have Wi-Fi. Now I can drink overpriced coffee while strangers steal my passwords. The timing is sort of a coincidence, because I was just wondering what would be the fastest way to lose everything I own. And this fixes one of my other big problems too. I always wanted to share my browser history with strangers, and now I can. By the way, I'm Dilbert. I was Rob Norb, but now I go by Fred. Did a guy named Fred use your Wi-Fi? Right after he undertipped. So this is the land of Elbonia, and they have a problem with cyber. So we do have a listing of other resources. There's so much information available on cybersecurity and fraud prevention. So this is just a couple of the links, but there's many resources in this area. So please educate yourself and educate your friends and family. And did we have any questions out there?
Or comments? We hope people found this helpful today. If you'd like a copy of this presentation, the email's on the screen and it's also in the chat window, and we'll be glad to send you a copy of this presentation. You can share it with your family. We'll also be posting the recording of this session on our Facebook page as well.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thank you for participating, and just keep a lookout and for some future cybersecurity discussions.